Well, that's a peak mountaintop experience, isn't it? Isn't it? And we love the joy of this moment. The brass, the timpani, our bells, getting to whoop in the church and proclaim he is risen. Alleluia. I don't know about you, but I want to stay in that moment forever. I don't want it to stop. But it does. It does. I read an article this week by Jesuit priest James Martin, and he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, most of our lives are spent in what we might call Holy Saturday. And I thought, oh my goodness, he is right. Sometimes that's a little bit disappointing. But just yesterday, we were in this very space, hearing some of the somewhat dissonant chords of the Passion being sung, the sharp grief, the loss. We knelt at the foot of the cross and recognized what Jesus had given for us in his sacrifice. We know that in our own lives too, our own losses, that diagnosis that we didn't want to hear, the pain we have, the moment that everything falls apart. And yes, we've also seen the other side. We've tasted Easter too, that little bell, that's right. When the news is better. When the news is better than we thought, when those babies are born and we get to welcome them into the world, that's an Easter moment. When Genevieve reads the Bible and says, I am turning my life over to Christ and it's time to be baptized, that's an Easter moment. But most of the time, we live in between those two in Holy Saturday. And this vigil spans between sorrow and joy, between loss and restoration. It's the day the tomb stayed sealed, and then Christ burst forth in new life. Alleluia. It looked like nothing was happening, but everything was happening. In many ways, that's where we live most days, waiting for clarity, for healing, waiting for life to just feel maybe a little bit lighter. But not all waiting is the same. There's the weight of despair when we feel abandoned or hopeless or afraid. And maybe that's why the disciples were locked behind the shut doors after Jesus died. And there's passive waiting that kind of abdicates responsibility and leadership, a spiritual shrug saying, yep, whatever happens, happens. That's not Christian waiting. We're called to something bigger. We're called to Christian waiting, which is all about hopeful expectation, like waiting for the new fire to come forth with an expert strike of the flint. Not wishful thinking or blind optimism, but a stubborn trust that even now, especially now, God is at work. Hope is not passive, it is active. As we have seen tonight, active hope shares the story. We tell our story even when the next chapter isn't entirely clear. This hope says, I don't know what's next. I'm not sure what's next, but I know who holds me. I know the stories of my people and the songs of my people. I think of the women, those brave women who walked to the tomb while it was still dark. Eyes gritty with being up all night, with those tears, unsure of what they would find. And still they went. Why? How did they find the strength to go into the heart of their pain, the heart of their fear, and deep, deep danger? Well, one of the ways they found that strength is that they didn't go alone. They went together. They had their friends. Maybe they told these very same stories along the way. the stories of their people. Maybe they sang the Psalms, every one of them a turn towards the hope of Christ. The hope of God, salvation. And maybe they reminded each other of God's mercy, God's hand bringing them through. Even as they walked with expectant sorrow that Easter morning, making their way to the tomb, we have to remember that the only path to Easter joy is the brave path in the dark, and it's uncertain, and it for sure is dangerous. That is hopeful, active waiting. It's not flashy. It's certainly not boastful. It's not loud or certain. It's faithful. It's communal. It's courageous. And this night, this radiant, joy-soaked, music-filled night is what fills our hearts for all of those Holy Saturdays yet to come. This is the light we carry into those quieter seasons. This is the truth we hold on to when things feel uncertain, when the tomb still looks a little sealed, and the way ahead feels hidden. This is the joy that leans in and says, hold on, hang on, new life is coming. New life is rising. So I'll ask you gently this night, can you let the light of this night inspire you to share God's activity in your life? How God has been good to you, your own salvation story, your story encourages other people. Can the glory of the bells and the yelling and the cheering and the joy help you practice holy curiosity? Ask about somebody else's path, their story, their heart, their song. Can the strength of the Alleluia overcome fear, defensiveness? Can you sing and pray and remember this story that we have inherited, full of love that is stronger than everything and stronger than death? Because Easter people don't just believe in hope. We embody it. We speak it. We sing it. We carry it into the world. The disciples didn't know how the story would end, but we do. We know that Christ is risen. We know that death does not win. We know that evil does not triumph. We know that love breaks through. So let this joy sink deep into your bones. Let it anchor you in every season of waiting. Let it remind you that God is already at work, wherever you are, whether you're dancing in joy or barely holding on. Jesus is alive, Jesus is with you, and new life is already rising up, because in the end, Easter isn't just a promise, it's a person, and he is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia. Stand on up. Stand up. The peace of the Lord be always with you.